hand, go ahead and get your graphing calculator. And then you can also open that Unit 1 writing assignment in Classkick. So a quick review of the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula, remember, in order to use the quadratic formula, you have to have your equation in standard form, meaning set equal to 0. Okay, once it is set equal to 0, you can identify A, B, and C. And then you can plug in your A, B, and C values to the quadratic formula. So today we are learning how to identify the best method for solving quadratic equations so that we can find roots of quadratic equations. I'll know I've got it when I understand how to identify A, B, and C in a quadratic equation, input those values, and simplify. So let's think about this. Can the current quadratic equation be factored, or can you find the roots in its current form? Why or why not? And I'm going to open up the room chat. So I want you to tell me, yes, you can find it and this is how, or no, and tell me why you cannot find roots from this specific form. Okay, good, Brent, not yet. Yes, good, Wesley. So no. Correct. Why not? Not quite, Eliza. Good, Brent. That's right. Okay, yeah, so remember, we have to set our equation equal to 0. So this equation here is equal to 8. So in order for us to be able to use the quadratic formula, I would have to subtract 8 from both sides. Whenever I do that, I would get 2x squared minus 4x minus 8, and that now equals 0. Okay, so we have to set equal to 0 first. Okay. All right, so go ahead and open up your Unit 1 writing assignment in Classkick. Remember that the problems I'm going to do with you right now, these problems are not the exact same problems. I just changed the numbers. So the steps are going to be the exact same, but the actual problem itself, the numbers are different. Okay, so how this is going to work, I'm going to do the first problem. I'm going to work it on my screen to show you the steps, and then I'm going to pause to give you time to go and work your own problem in Classkick, okay? So the first one says, explain why the equation x minus 4 quantity squared minus 28 has 2 solutions. Then solve the equation to find the solutions. Okay, so this problem, this equation, has 2 solutions because it is a quadratic equation that crosses the x-axis twice. Okay, and you'll see we know it has 2 solutions because we're going to take the square root. When we take a square root, we get a positive and a negative. So that gives us 2 solutions. So now let's go ahead and solve the equation. So this one, the key thing here, remember you could always use the quadratic formula. However, we are going to use a different method here. Unit 1, Richard. Unit 1 writing assignment. We are going to take this negative 28 and add it to the other side, because when I do that, I get 36, which is a perfect square. Okay, so we're going to do that first. If you decide to use the quadratic formula, that's fine. You need to take this x minus 4 squared, this right here. You have to FOIL or use the box method to multiply that out. So it doesn't just become x squared minus 16. Okay, you have to do the FOIL or the box method, so don't forget about that middle term. But I'm telling you, the easiest way to do this is going to be to add this 28 to both sides. So now I get x minus 4 squared equals 36. 36 is a perfect square. So now I'm going to take the square root of both sides, because when I do that, taking the square root of something undoes this exponent squared, okay? So that undoes that, which means it just goes away. And I'm left with x minus 4 equals, now the square root of 36 is positive 6 or negative 6. So 6 times 6 gives me 36. And negative 6 times negative 6 gives me 36. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and split into my two equations. So x minus 4 equals positive 6, and x minus 4 equals negative 6. What I will do now is just solve for x. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I get x equals 10. Over here, I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get x equals negative 2. So those would be my two solutions. Okay, I am going to pause here and let you go into ClassKick and solve your number 1. Okay, I'm going to leave this up. If you have questions, you can ask me in questions and answers or the room chat. Okay, but I'm going to give us, okay, that's great. If you already solved it and you got it right, that's great. I'm going to give us about 4 minutes. Okay, guys, this is the Unit 1 writing assignment. We got about 2 more minutes. If x equals 0, then that means x is 0. That's it. That's okay. Yep. That just means it would cross at the origin. All right, one more minute and then we're going to go on to the next problem. Yeah, this is your Unit 1 writing assignment. It's a grade. All righty, so let's go ahead and look at number 2. Number 2 is going to be very, yeah, Marcus, that's totally fine. You can submit photos. All right, so number 2 is very, very similar to number 1. So it says write out the steps to find the solutions for the following quadratic. As you can see, again, we have this squared, and 49 is a perfect square. So let's just solve it first, then we will go back and write out our steps. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I would get x minus 2 equals positive or negative 7. Now I'm going to split it into 2. So x minus 2 is positive 7. X minus 2 equals negative 7. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I would get x equals 9 or x equals negative 5. So the first thing you're going to do is just solve it. Then you would come over here and write your steps. So step 1 was take the square root, both sides. Step 2 was to split into 2 equations. Step 3, add 2 to both sides. Okay. So if you have questions about this one, let me know. If not, you're going to go to your number 2 on Classkick. And you're going to go ahead and solve yours. I'm going to give us 5 minutes to do this one as well. All right, got about 2 more minutes, and then we're going to go over the last one. Hey, Angel, we're just using the room chat as our as questions for math, okay? Because we're trying to get our Unit 1 writing assignment done. Unit 1 writing assignment. If you want to open that in ClassKick.
Wait, Miss, what's the name of the ClassKick assignment?
Unit 1 writing assignment, guys.
Oh, the thing we were supposed to do last week?
It opened on Friday and it's due today. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what happens if we're done with it?
Okay, if you're done, that's fine. I'm going over it. So if you want to make sure that you followed the right steps, you are free to stay. If not, if you're totally finished, then you're free to go. Anya, yes. The answer to this one, this particular problem, would have 2 solutions. So one of them is 9 and one of them is -5. All right, let's go ahead. Oh, how did we get 7? I took the square root of 49, Alan. So when you take the square root of both sides, that gets rid of this squared here. That's why I took the square root. And I took the square root of the right side because it was a, whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. So the reason I chose this method was because 49 is a perfect square. So it made it easy when I did the square root of both sides because I got rid of that squared. And then on the right side, I just got a whole number.
Okay. Miss Smith, will the grade for this assignment be put in today?
If I can get them all graded, yes.
Oh, okay.
Brent, yes. Okay, guys. So, like I said at the beginning of class, I cannot do this assignment for you. That would not make sense if I was doing the exact same problems on your this is part of your test. I can't do your test for you, but what I can do is do problems that are very similar and have the same steps, just different numbers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this third slide for this question. Okay, so it says use the quadratic formula to solve x squared minus 4x equals -8. Okay, so before I can use the quadratic formula, what do I have to do to this problem? I cannot use the quadratic formula yet. Good, Josh, exactly. Move the 8 over. That's exactly right. Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So I would get x squared minus 4x minus 8 equals 0. Now, I need to identify a B, and C. Yep, I need to identify A, B, and C so that I can use the quadratic formula. That's right, Erica. So A is going to equal 1. B is -4. C is -8. And in case you forgot, I'm going to write the quadratic formula up here. If it's a negative on the right, then yes, you would add. That's right. Okay, now what I'm going to do, since I know my A, B, and C values, I'm going to go ahead and plug them in. So I would get x equals -4. Don't forget that double negative, okay? Plus or minus -4 squared. Okay. Now what I'm going to do right now is go through and simplify. So I want to get rid of this double negative. That would be +4 plus or minus. I'm going to figure out what is this under my radical sign. So I am just going to, right now I'm going to share my screen with you to show you how to plug this in the calculator. All right, so on my calculator, I had -4 squared minus 4 times 1 times -8. And then hit enter. So 48. So now I'm going to go back to my problem. So it's going to be plus the square root of 48. And then all of that divided by 2. Angel, what do you mean if you have an exponent separating the equation? We have A and B in a parentheses with an x1. I guess I'm not quite sure what you mean. Are you working on a problem, like a problem on a quiz or something, or that I could help you with? Okay, Josh, yeah, give me just a second. So what you can do here, what you can do is, for this problem, what I would recommend doing is just plug it in your calculator and get 2 decimals. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. You can simplify your radicals if you want to, but when we use quadratic formula, it's totally fine to just have decimals. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so what you had then was 4 plus the square root of 48, okay? Then you're going to divide that by 2. So your first answer is going to be 5.46. Now, remember, we also had 4 minus the square root of 48. Oops. Let's go back. There we go. Minus the square root of 48. And then divide that by 2. So then you would get -1.46. So let's go back to our problem, and we're just going to write out our final answers. Okay, so my answers then would be 5.46 for x equals 5.46, or x equals negative 1.46. And that's it. You can leave it as a decimal. So Angel, you need to either take the square root of that to get rid of your squared. I'm not sure what you're trying to do there, but you either need to use the FOIL or box method to factor that, to multiply that out, or you can just take the square root to get rid of that squared. All right, so go ahead and work on your number 3 in class Kick. And if you cannot get logged into class Kick, let me know. Mars, are you able to get logged into class Kick? Angel, that's why I just told you, you have to take the square root. If you're trying to get rid of the exponent, you take the square root. You just divide by 12. So 2 times 6 is 12. So just divide by 12. Jacob, what do you mean you can only get logged in on one computer? Like get logged into class Kick? Okay. Maybe try using Google Chrome. That typically always works. Does anyone have any questions about any of this? Okay, Angel, what's up? Okay, if you don't have any questions, you are good to go. If you do have questions, go ahead and send them over. Okay, so what number are you on, Angel? Bye, Gabriel. Nope, you don't have any other work. You're on number 3. Okay, so this one, right? You're on this problem that I have on the board, kind of like that. Okay, so what exponent are you trying to get rid of? So, Adrena, describe your solution just means to write out your 2 solutions. So you should have a positive and a negative. That's all that means, is just write them out. Yeah, you're welcome. So Kiera, you are gonna, I can try to show you. Are you using Desmos or your graphing calculator? Okay, Angel, that's not number 3. That's number 2. Okay, you're using Desmos. So let me pull up Desmos then real quick and show you how to type it in. All right, let me share my screen, Kiara, so I can show you. Okay, so if you want to type in the whole thing, so for instance, mine was 4, and then I come down here and hit my plus signs. So in parentheses, I'm going to put what's on the top. So 4 plus, then I would use the square root button, square root of 48. That would be what's on the top. Then I'm going to click out of my parentheses, and I'm going to divide the whole thing by 2. So that's how you type it in. You're welcome. Okay, so Angel, let me go back to the tool, the file here. So like what you were asking, I said if you want to get rid of that exponent, you're going to take the square root of both sides. The reason we're taking the square root of both sides is because the right and the left, okay, it has a number 2 on it, I think. If we're on the same page, are you on slide number 3 maybe? Slide 3. I want to make sure we're on the right one before I tell you something, the wrong steps to the problem. Let me find where you are. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you're gonna, because the left-hand side has an exponent of squared, and because the right-hand side is a perfect square, we can take the square root of both sides. Okay, Adelina, where are you confused about? For number 3, slide 4. Let me go back to this. There you go. So these are kind of your steps. Let's see if I can find where you are. Okay, so Adelina, before you can identify A, B, and C, you have to set your equation equal to 0. So go ahead and move that -7 over to the other side. And then you'll be able to work your problem.